Lord Windgrace versus Karametra, God of Harvests. I run this deck as an Enchantress build, but you can also run it as a creature-based ramping build. Yeah, we'll keep that. We have Life from the Loam in hand, which we can... Yeah, I think we'll just go for a Bajuka Bog straight away. No, actually we won't. We'll go for a tap land with the Bloodstained Mire, and I think we'll try and set ourselves up for a Farseek on turn 2, which means that we'll be going for an Overgrown Tomb at the end of our opponent's turn. They get into, I don't know what land that is, Elfheim Palace. Yeah, it's just a tap land, so that's fine. We'll go for our Overgrown Tomb, which will of course come in tapped. Where are we? I'll try and do this without... Or actually, do we want... Yeah, actually, we're going to go for Cinderglade, because that is a tap land. There we go. And then we can get into Badlands, and we will Farseek now. And try and outrace our opponent on the mana count. This card is from the original Ravnica set. It gets us a Plains, Island, Swamp, or Forest. Not Forest, or Mountain. Yeah, so we'll get... Yeah, we'll get that because it is a tap land. And there we go. Now we can go in for Life from the Loam next turn and grab our Bloodstained Mire back. I think that's a good plan for us. And Karametra, God of Harvests, is a Celestia commander. 6/7 for 5 mana, indestructible. Needs devotion to green and or white of 7 or greater to become a creature. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest or a plains and put it onto the battlefield tapped. Really good card, Karametra. Really like her. Probably my favourite god from that set, I think. Lord Windgrace is 5 loyalty for a 5 mana Jund commander. +2, discard a card and draw a card. You draw 2 if you discard a land this way. -3, return 2 lands from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then -11 is destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents. And then you get 6 2/2 green cat tokens with Forest Walk, which will be very useful to us in this game now that our opponent has played out a forest. Really popular forest as well. You see this, I mean the artwork's really nice on it, so it's no wonder. But yeah, you see people play with this basic land quite a lot. Okay, we can attempt to aim for a Mina and Den, I think. But first off, we're going to, yeah, this turn we're going to go for our Life from the Loam because we can't actually get a land in untapped unless we go for this, and we want to get another green source anyway. So we're going to grab our Bloodstained Mire, and that will most likely grab us our Overgrown Tomb that we were going to get with it before. I forgot all about these dual lands from Return to Zendikar, whatever that set's called, I can't remember. Yeah, nice to see some other more budget friendly duels that we can get with the fetches. And we'll just pass the turn like that. Our opponent is slow rolling the game out, which is fine with us. They still have a full grip of 7, so it's not to say that they won't have an explosive turn some point soon. And there we go, Nissa Vastwood Seer. That will get them into another forest. And we play this as a commander on the channel. Really good mono green commander. And they need 7 or more lands in order to flip her over. Well, there we go. We'll get Bloodstained Mire and definitely grab the Overgrown Tomb this time. And we don't need to pay the life on that, of course. Now, Life from the Loam, do we want to go for... I don't think so. I think we just want to... Yeah, Verdant Catacombs. It's nice to get another fetch in the bin there. Why don't we just grab Mina and Den now. This will allow us to play 2 additional lands each turn. No, it won't. It'll let us play 1 additional land each turn. I meant it'll let us play 2 lands in total each turn. And then for Gruel, and return a land to its owner's hand. Target creature gains trample until the end of the turn. That might actually be useful with Bojuka Bog, because if we want to exile their graveyard, then we can do that if we want to. I don't think Karametra will have too much graveyard interaction. Might have an Eternal Witness and things like that. And we can at least swing in with Mina and Den next turn if we want to. And we could even... Can it give itself trample? Target creature gains trample yet, so it can give itself trample if we want it to. I think we are just on the Lord Windgrace plan next turn. So what we could do, if we don't draw a land next turn, we can either go for Life from the Loam to get some lands back in the hand to discard to Lord Windgrace, which I think is a pretty good plan, considering we'll have 2 fetches in the graveyard. Or we can bounce something back with Mina and Den for the same amount of mana, and discard that to Lord Windgrace instead. The Life from the Loam plan does get it gets 2 lands into our hand as opposed to Mina and Den. But it does mean that we have to mill some cards, which we're not too keen on with this deck. I don't think we have any kind of reanimation things going on. It's literally just a means of loading up our library with lands and then making use of things like Splendid Reclamation for lots of landfall triggers, onto things like Avenger of Zendikar and Woodfall Bayliths, I think it's called, the one that throws out 4/4 beast tokens. Our opponent's mana is now fixed. They have 2 white and 2 green. Journey to Nowhere onto Mina and Den means that we will not be getting additional land drops every turn. So I think we're definitely going in for the Life from the Loam plan in that case. And I'm also going to assume that this is an Enchantress build, which I haven't seen a whole heap of on Magic Online, to be honest. And now Nissa is going to swing in at us, most likely. Nope, they opt against it. We'll grab ourselves another green source of any kind, I think. So why don't we just go for... Bayou? No, we'll go for Stomping Ground, another Shockland. That can come in, that's good. And then we will go for Life from the Loam. And we get Glacial Chasm. So that'll be good to have in hand. And then we get rid of Time of Need and Felwar Stone. Now if we do things this way, yeah, we can go for Life from the Loam. Grab these lands, we'll play a fetch. If we can manage to click them properly. There we go. Life from the Loam will bring us back some lands. And then we'll play a land and get out our Lord Windgrace. Worst case scenario, we can Song of the Dryads, the Journey to Nowhere, and get our Mina and Den back, but I'm not too worried about that, to be honest. Okay, and we'll get into something else here. Not sure what we want to grab here. Might just grab some basics. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll just grab a basic forest here. And then we go Lord Windgrace. And we'll see what card draw we can get working for us. We'll draw 2 cards off of a discard of the Glacial Chasm. So we'll +2. Discard the Glacial Chasm, and that will draw us another couple of cards. Highly doubtful that we'll be able to do anything with any of the cards that we draw, but does at least set us up for next turn, hopefully. Okay, and we're not going to use the replacement effect with Life from the Loam. Prismatic Omen sets us up for Valakut. So that would be nice to get into a Valakut win, although we've already done it on the channel on the first day of recording with Lord Windgrace, so Not particularly eager to get that underway, but it is an option for us if we get into Scape Shift or something like that. How many mountains are we on currently? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 next turn. That'll switch on Valakut if we just so happen to draw into it. Okay, Karametra comes down, and they're on 4 loyalty currently. Karametra does, of course, include itself in its devotion. I think I just said loyalty. The devotion is what I was referring to there. And that is, of course, coming in at Lord Windgrace. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lands in play. They might be able to make a land drop and then play a creature next turn, and that would flip Nissa over. I think we might go for... yeah, we'll go for Life from the Loam here. Actually, no we won't. I'd like to see something new. Yeah, that's fine. In that case, why don't we ditch... yeah, we'll get rid of the basic forest. No, we won't. We'll get rid of Bloodstained Mire. We will not Life from the Loam. No and no. Tireless Tracker is nice. Crucible of Worlds is very nice. So how much mana do we have? 3, 6, 7, 8. I'd like to Song of the Dryads, our opponent's commander. So why don't we do that first of all. And then I think I want to Crucible of Worlds. Or we could just Tireless Tracker actually, I think. Yeah, why don't we go for Tireless Tracker and hope that our opponent doesn't swing in with Nissa. If they do, it doesn't matter. How many lands are they on now? 2, 4, 6. They might flip Nissa over anyway, accidentally next turn. Because Karametra is now a land. So they're on 6 lands. If they play a 7th, I think that's how it works. If you control 7 or more lands, yeah. So as soon as they play another land now, they'll flip Nissa. Don't want to play out Prismatic Omen until we have that combo in play, because Prismatic Omen can easily be dealt with some kind of enchantment removal, which Simic is superb at dealing with enchantments. And they get to flip their Nissa. Not too worried about that now that Karametra's off the field. Okay, that will, of course, block us, though. They have to return a permanent to their hand. They could return their Karametra if they want to. And that is exactly what they plump for. But they'll have to replay their Karametra, which is 5 mana. I'm sure they'd rather not be spending. Garruk Wildspeaker. Yeah, this is pretty Planeswalker heavy so far. What do we do with all this, I wonder? Lots of tokens coming down all of a sudden. This, yeah, makes me regret my decisions about not dealing with that Nissa, but I'm not sure we could have dealt with it in any timely fashion anyway. We're going to Life from the Loam and get back some lands from our graveyard, I think. Let's see what we've got. Well, we've gotten rid of Gitrog Monster and Demonic Tutor, which I'd rather not have done. So why don't we go for our Life from the Loam, and we can get rid of some cards from our hand if we want to, and try and draw into them with the Lord Windgrace. So let's ditch our Glacial... Actually, do we want to ditch Glacial Chasm? What I might do actually is wipe the board here and try and get a Lord Windgrace limit break off to deal with all this stuff. So why don't we get rid of that? And we do not want to do that. We want to draw some more cards. Okay. We do get into Krosan Grip. So that means that we'll get an additional land this turn. So why don't we go for just that? Yeah, in hindsight, actually, I should have gone for the Damnation first. Glacial Chasm. Yeah, I played that a little bit back to front. Well, no matter. Why don't we go for... I mean, we at least have Phyrexian Arena to sit back on. So why don't we... Yeah, we'll go for a couple of clue tokens. And then we can crack them at the end of next turn if we want to. Just grab a Tiger. That puts us up to 5 lands. Then we can Glacial Chasm as well. And we'll sacrifice the Bojuka Bog. Do we want to sacrifice Bojuka Bog? There's another tap land coming in. No, we'll just get rid of the forest. We can easily get that back. And then we've definitely activated Lord Windgrace. Yes, we have. Do I want to wipe the board? I think I might. Yeah, I should have waited for that Cross and Grip. And then we could have had Mina and Den in play. Yeah, I think I want a Damnation here because of this flyer. We could obviously trade with the 2 tokens. But I think the plan currently is to get Lord Windgrace up to its ultimate. And we'll need a couple of turns to do that. Don't think Glacial Chasm keeps damage. No, it prevents all damage that would be dealt to us. Does not prevent damage that would be dealt to our Planeswalkers. Okay, out comes Karametra again. That is 4 loyalty still. So they are 3 loyalty off activating that. And they untap some lands with Garruk, which means they're not throwing tokens down. Okay, looks like this is an Enchantress build. With a few Planeswalkers thrown in for good measure. The thing we do with our enchantment deck, I think we've only got 1 artifact. In Sol Ring. Sol Ring's too good to not play, of course. And then we just have boatloads of enchantments. And, of course, all the Enchantress cards. I think there's something like 5 of those. And, Karametra is now active. Yeah, that's a tough call. What do we do here, then? What do we do? I think we will keep that in play. We'll just have to pay 2 life for it. It does at least keep damage off us. And then we can go for... Yeah, I just want to discard the Bayou here. Guy's Cradle doesn't do anything, unfortunately. Although it might do, depending on what we discard. So we'll get rid of Bayou. And no, Life from the Loam. And no. Yeah, that's nothing for us. We have nothing going on there. And we now can't protect our Lord Windgrace, unfortunately. We'll play that mountain for the turn. And we'll try and get into something. Keep having to say no to Life from the Loam. Vandal Blast does nothing either. We'll crack another clue. Going for something like Toxic Deluge, something like that here. Chances of us just so happening to draw into it is not great, but have to try. Okay, Sol Ring. Might as well play the Sol Ring and then crack that clue token. And we'll say no again to Life from the Loam. I mean, even an Eternal Witness into Damnation would be good. Okay, yeah, that is not a whole lot going on there. We can get some lands out of our graveyard with a splendid Reclamation. I think we just go for our Phyrexian Arena here. We'll pretend that we have Vampiric Tutor. And we could have actually gone for Nature's Law, and then before we did the Phyrexian Arena there, I misplayed that a little bit. Yeah, so in a little bit of a precarious position. We just have to hope that our opponent doesn't get into some enchantments here. They will, of course, sort of draw a card with Nissa. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, put it into play. Otherwise, it goes into your hand. Ooh, an Armadillo Cloak. That will very much help them deal with Lord Windgrace. That's +2/+2. And Trample. And then it's the old style Lifelink, which isn't technically the same as Lifelink. Luckily, we still have our Glacial Chasm in play. Probably go for Crucible of Worlds next turn. Or we could just sacrifice it next turn and get down Splendid Reclamation. Yeah, and they're drawing cards off of that Mesa Enchantress. This isn't looking good for us. Creatures you control get a buff to their toughness and have reach. Never seen that card before. They only have 9 power on the board. And they're only swinging in with Karametra. So much for that limit break. Would have been nice to get that down, but unfortunately we are not managing to defend our Lord Windgrace as it stands. And Banishing Light surely isn't going on to Lord Windgrace if they just attacked it. Might be going on Phyrexian Arena. Yep, that's exactly what it's going on. And it just shows the power of Enchantress builds. They've played this turn Armadillo Cloak and Enchantment, Spider Silk Armour, and Banishing Light, all of which have cantripped off of the Mesa Enchantress. We shield until the end of the turn here. We're not going to do anything. Our opponent's still up to 3 cards. And they have their Thawing Glaciers out, so they're doing what Karametra loves to do best, and that's ramp. Okay, we are going to sacrifice our Glacial Chasm, I think. No, we will not. We'll sacrifice it instead. Life from the Loam. No, there's no point having it if we're just going to get into Splendid Reclamation. We'll get rid of the Gaia's Cradle and draw a couple of cards. Miri's Guile is nice. We'll get into Windswept Heath, sacrifice that before we cast our Splendid Reclamation. Not getting into any landfall creatures or anything like that, unfortunately. Luckily, we have Glacial Chasm to keep us in the game. So why don't we go for our Splendid Reclamation right now. That returns all lands from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then when that comes in, we sacrifice a land. So why don't we just go for Basic Forest? We have plenty of those. Definitely get down the Miri's Guile. That will help us to decide what we're drawing next turn. I'm going to go for Nature's Law as well. The more cards that we get out of the library, the better. I think we have 42 in this deck, which is a lot, but it is a lands matter deck, so the last thing you want to do is not draw lands. Get ourselves another Basic Forest. And then that is Crucible of Worlds. And we've played a land this turn, so we can't get the forest out of the bin. So it looks like we've got a dead Lord Windgrace next turn. but not to worry. Yeah, I'm still going to keep hold of Prismatic Omen. Nothing to Vandal Blast. Yep, nothing to do there, so just have to throw it back to our opponent. The only lands matter creature we've gotten into so far is Gitrog Monster, and that was milled off of the Life from the Loam. That's the risk you run. Might have to add an Animate Dead or something like that into the deck, or at least something that fishes creatures out of the graveyard. But yeah, because we haven't been able to deal with our opponent's Enchantress, they've got plenty of mana. Oh, Eidolon of Blossoms, even better. That one cantrips when it enters itself. So Eidolon of Blossoms will draw them a card, and then it will draw them a card off the Mesa Enchantress as well. And now whenever they play an enchantment deck, whenever they play an enchantment, I should say, in this enchantment deck, they'll draw 2 cards. Have to assume they've drawn into more enchantments here. We're up to 6 cards again, down from 2 it was before, I think. Growing Rites of Itlamok. I forget how that flips. Well, they do have 4 or more creatures, so that will be a Gaia's Cradle for them, which is even more mana. And yeah, I think they have got us here. The only thing that can help us here is Bane of Progress. That is a 6 mana green creature, and it blows up all enchantments and artifacts. It doesn't seem as though we're having the best of luck this game. We do have Glacial Chasm in play, so we can drag the game out for as long as we feel it's necessary. Our opponent's going to gain a lot of life here off of killing Lord Windgrace, assuming that's where it's going. Yep, that's exactly where it's going. We can replay our Lord Windgrace easily enough and draw some cards, but there's not a whole heap we have going on here. I don't think even Vesuva would help us. It'd be worthwhile working out how many lands we have left in the deck, actually. Might do that during our opponent's next turn. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 22 lands left in the deck. And this upkeep will... Well, let's see what we get off Mirri's Guile first. Have to speed up play a little bit. We're down to 11.5 minutes. Really hope we get into something good here. Thespian Stage might be helpful. Well, we certainly don't want the Rakdos Signet. I think we'll just draw... Well, we're going to draw off Lord Windgrace anyway. And then we'll play... Yeah, we'll pay the cost for this. Just so that we don't have to use one of our lands for the turn to replay it. And no to Life from the Loam. Thespian Stage, yeah, we'll go for Lord Windgrace first. And I think it costs 7 now. Hoping it's 7. There we go. And then we'll ditch a forest. We have plenty of those in the deck. And we'll draw some cards. Now then, do we want to... No, we don't want to do that. We want to get into Oracle of Muldiah. And then we will Life from the Loam, because we're not too bothered about drawing into the Rakdos Signet, and luckily we don't mill anything else too important. So why don't we... Well, we don't need to shuffle the top of our library, do we? Because we don't actually know what's on top. Thespian Stage is doing nothing for us currently, but if we get into the card that I forget the name of that allows us to get the Merit Lage token, that's exactly why it's in the deck. Sylvan Safekeeper. too bothered about that, so why don't we shuffle our library up. Don't know how many basics we have left. Well, we've got 2 forests. Kadama's Reach, don't care about. So we'll shuffle again. Just really hunting here. And we'll grab one of our last forests, and Wayward Sawtooth might be helpful. No, I think we're just going to continue to try and put something good on top for ourselves. That's the last time we can do it, though. Don't think we have... Oh, we'll have a lot of mountains, actually. We could go for Bloodstained Mire. Yeah, and we have another red source on top. Might as well play our Life from the Loam to save ourselves doing it next turn. So a red source and a couple of forests. There we go. Now, the Oracle of Muldiah is not going to help us defend Lord Windgrace. We could keep Lord Windgrace alive if we block with the Oracle of Muldiah, but I imagine they're going to go in with the Eidolon of Blossoms as well, so Lord Windgrace is probably going to die again this turn. Karametra does, of course, have Trample, thanks to its enchantment. We really want to get into that Bane of Progress. Primordial Sage is even more card draw, so this looks like it's a mix between Creatures Matter and enchantments, whereas we just went full-blown enchantments. They've done a little bit of both in this deck. Obviously, the more creatures you play in our Karametra deck, the more triggers you'll get off Karametra, the more ramp you'll get into. Fauna Shaman is not only going to keep them in creatures, but they're going to be able to get very selective with the creatures that they get into. So it's not very hopeful for us. Lignify onto, I think this has to be a creature. So that's Oracle of Muldiah. That might help us to keep damage off of our Lord Windgrace. I don't know if that's a little bit greedy playing the Lignify on the Oracle of Muldiah when we already have so many lands in play. I'm not sure they should be worrying about how many landfall triggers we get. See what they swing in with here. Probably the Eidolon. Okay, well we're going to be able to keep our... Oh, it can't... Can it block? There we go, it was hidden behind the swamp there, but yeah, we can block with it, we just can't attack. So that keeps our Lord Windgrace alive, thankfully. We won't be able to play an additional land each turn though, which is unfortunate, so we're going to have to be careful with what we play. There's more life for our opponent though, they gain 8 life again. Yeah, I'm not hopeful for winning this game, but you never know. I was playing the Merin deck the other day and didn't look very hopeful there either, but we just managed to pull out a win against Edisi, so I'm not one to quit prematurely. We can drag the game out any, I certainly will. And Wayward Saw Valakut. Now then, does Valakut actually help us anymore? I don't think so. Is it legendary? I think we just have to draw into Valakut here. We can try and start blowing things up, maybe. Yeah, we'll go into Valakut. And then cumulative upkeep, we will... it's 4 life. We'll pay it one more time. Say yes to that. We do not want to Life from the Loam. We'll discard and draw those cards. Get rid of a forest. And say no twice to that. And then we will play out the Wayward Swordtooth, which is an animated 5/5. And then Prismatic Omen we can actually start making use of now. And this will make all of our lands, every land type. Then we go Valakut. Valakut looks like it's going to trigger itself because it is every land type. We'll have Thespian Stage. Whoops, nope, don't want it to become a copy of a forest. We want it to become a copy of Valakut. So there we go. We also have Vesuva in the deck for becoming a copy of lands. Something we can grab with Scape Shift. Okay, and then if we go into... That will trigger twice, of course. Let's go after Eidolon of Blossoms and Fauna Shaman. And we'll say yes to that. And that is always yes. And then that is our lands for the turn. Yeah, I'm wondering if we can actually... Well, we can do this. And blow up some more stuff. Go after our opponent's Nissa. And that just so happens to be a land anyway. Won't be able to do that too many times again. We'll go for that and that. And I think we're just treading water here because we couldn't go after our opponent's life total thanks to the Armadillo Cloak. And we've already played our Splendid Reclamation. Had we been able to set these two cards up with Splendid Reclamation being cast, then that would have really helped us, but we can at least get... I'm just trying to work out if we can actually make something work here. We can kill the Glacial Chasm next turn and then play it. That'll be 6 damage. And hopefully we can play an additional land thanks to the Wayward Swordtooth. And that will be another 6 damage that we can throw around. So hopefully we can get rid of the Primordial Sage. Yeah, but we're still just treading water dealing with our opponent's side of the field. They have a full grip, but they don't have means of drawing cards now, as far as I'm aware. But they do have an animated Emeria, the Sky Ruin, which will most likely get Mesa Enchantress or the Eidolon of Blossoms. I think we can just yield to everything here to save time, because we're not going to be doing anything on our opponent's turn. And they go for their Eidolon of Blossoms. This does at least show off what an Enchantress build can do. This is a pretty good Karametra deck by the looks of it, and there they have their own Vesuva that comes in as Emeria the Sky Ruin, so they'll be getting in some good reanimation triggers. Let me work out how many lands we have in the deck. I really don't think we can go for a Vesuva win this game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. That'll be 14 cards left. Yeah, with Scape Shift we might actually be able to do it, but that is solely reliant on us getting into Scape Shift. And what on earth has our opponent done here? Ancestral Mask, +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. It gets rid of our Lord Windgrace. Thankfully we have Glacial Chasm in play. That's done a lot of work for us this game. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to it. Yeah, that's fine. We don't care about that. And yeah, that just... Yeah, well, they're going for us. That's fine. Does this prevent damage? Prevent all damage, yeah, that's fine. That means that they can't gain the life. If they don't deal damage, they don't gain the life, and if we are going to get in a Vesuva win, not a Vesuva win, a Valakut win this game, then them not hitting us for 22 lifelink damage is really good for us. It helps our chances along nicely. But I'm still not hopeful here. They're down to red on their clock, and we are about to be also. We're on 5.5 minutes compared to their just under 5 minutes. Let's see what we can grab with Miri's Guile here. Rampaging Baloths, don't think really helps us. It might be the only thing that we've got. Well, we can go into Rampaging Baloths and shuffle our library with a fetch. We are not going to pay that. We're going to throw it in the graveyard and then say no. Oh, and we can actually mill those cards, can't we? Yeah, we can. If we ditch a Blood Crypt, then we can actually get rid of the 2 cards that we don't care about, thanks to Life from the Loam. And then Dark Depths on Thespian Stage. I don't think we have a means of sacrificing the Thespian Stage. We could destroy it with Wasteland. Well, we need to make sure that we play out the Glacial Chasm. So let's go for... Yeah, we'll go after that. And then, oh, and of course, Glacial Chasm allows us to sacrifice a land, which is good. So that means we can go in for Thespian Stage being sacked. There we go. And we still need to be able to swing in with the... Oh, and they do have reach, don't they, thanks to this thing. So we need to also deal with that. Because the Dark Depths token wants us to... I think it's flying, isn't it? Yeah, flying and indestructible. So that's another thing that we want to deal with, unfortunately. I'll be annoyed if this game ends with a timeout, because given enough time, we might actually be able to drag the game out to a point where we can get lethal on our opponent. Before I played that Glacial Chasm, I should have got down the Rampaging Baloths. I'm going to kill that Garruk as well, seeing as how... Actually, can... Emeria only gets creatures, doesn't it? Yeah, so we'll get rid of that Garruk. I want to always yes to that. Speed things up. Right, and then we'll get into Rampaging Baloths quickly. Then we'll Thespian Stage, because we need it to untap so that we can copy the Dark Depths. So that is... Okay, that's going to slow things down a little bit, having to tap like that. We'll get into our Thespian Stage. And I forgot, yeah, of course, we don't have 2 Valakuts in play anymore, so we can't kill the Garruk like I thought we could. And why don't we just kill the Mana Vault while we can? Don't think it's going to matter at all, to be honest. And then Forest, Urborg and Wasteland. Just to get Life from the Loam back in the graveyard in case we want to clear anything off the top for ourselves, like we just did. We're both at pretty much the same clock now, 3 minutes and change. Now we can still shuffle up our library if we want to with a Bloodstained Mire. What else do we have? Yeah, we only have Bloodstained Mire that we can shuffle the library up with if we want to. I think we just go for the Life from the Loam idea. They're getting back Nissa and their Primordial Sage. 7 cards in hand for our opponent. I'm just going to auto yield to try and save valuable seconds here. So if they play a land here, which they should be able to do easily enough, all they have to do is cast a creature spell and Karametra will get a land out for them. Okay, cast out. Not sure what cast out is going to go on. Okay, they're just going for our commander, which we can recast easily enough. I'm not sure I'm too worried about that. 42 cards left in our library, so the chances are still pretty slim that we're going to get into exactly what we need to, and especially, Primordial Surge. The question is, can our opponent do what they need to do in a minute and a half, just over? And bearing in mind that while they do this, they need to keep an eye on their, they still have 37 cards left in the deck. I was worried that they were going to mill themselves out there. They now have boatloads of mana, thanks to Vorinclex, Miri's Wake, and Mana Reflection. And they also have a better Gaia's Cradle in Itlamok. Not sure there's anything we could have done in this game. Okay, they're getting... Oh, they've got another Enchantress out as well. The newer Satyr Enchanter. And then swinging in at us will do nothing for them because we have Glacial Chasm. They really want a Wasteland or an effect like that. Glacial Chasm has done so much for us this game. There's no way we would have been surviving this without it. It's been quite the onslaught for us. But we actually really need Primeval Bounty now. Primeval Titan, nope. We'll just go for Primeval Titan being drawn. Cumulative upkeep, we will pay the 2 life. We'll get back Life from the Loam to mill those 2 cards we don't care about. And then we're going Dark Depths. We'll blow up Nissa. And then Thespian Stage will be a copy of Dark Depths. We'll pay the 2 mana for that. Always yield to that. Thespian Stage becomes a copy of Dark Depths, and because it doesn't have the counters on it, choose which one to keep. We want to keep the one that doesn't have counters on it. And when it doesn't have counters on it, we get a 20/20 indestructible flyer. Unfortunately, our opponent has a heap of reaches. But we can get into it again, I think. So we'll just kill the Garrick. And we should have played the Thespian Stage out there. I did that wrong. Let's see if we can actually draw into anything here. I think we're just going for a timeout win here, as bad as that feels. And it does feel pretty bad. Yeah, our opponent's only got 17 seconds left on the clock and they can't deal with Glacial Chasm, I assume. They might be able to if they get into Wasteland or something. We'll go for discard a forest. Yeah, and our opponent sees that they have 10 seconds left on the clock. If they just F6 through our turn, that might have saved them a little bit of time. But yeah, we would have drawn into... Yeah, Assassin's Trophy and Arid Mesa would have done nothing for us. I don't know if we were anywhere close to getting something. Actually, no, Assassin's Trophy wouldn't have done it because all their stuff has Shroud. We would have had to deal with the Sterling Grove before we could go after the Spider Silk Armour. Failing that, if I'd have played it properly, what I would have done there is gone for Thespian Stage, and then next turn we could have replayed Dark Depths and gone for another... but this is a legendary token, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Yeah, silly mistakes like that occur when you get a bit frantic and the clock's running out. Yeah, that was the only kind of out that we had there. Merit Lage and try and hit our opponent 3 times. But that does, of course, assume that Karametra isn't coming through for lots of damage. So, a little bit of a strange one, but we managed to show off the power of both decks, really. And the only thing that kept us in that game was the Glacial Chasm, and being able to replay it as often as we did was really useful to us. So, not really a victory. Not really a victory for either decks there. I think that was a bit of a stalemate. So, technically we won, but I don't really count that as a victory. Hope you all enjoyed that Lord Windgrace game, and I will see all of you in the next one. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.